Hey guys, this is Lex, and welcome to the next episode of Lipstick and Liberation, a podcast where I, as a 40-year-old Black feminist, spend time talking about art, movies, film, politics, and news items, and how it affects us as women, and what we need to do to move forward and become a greater country and society as we are facing the loss of our rights each and every day here. As with misogyny, so with my lipstick, I always get the shade right. Today's shade is a Maybelline shade. It is called Breaking the Ceiling. I always try to pick one that kind of has a feminist twist to it. So there you go. That's the one that I'm using today. If you want to check that out, it's one of their Superstay, which is my favorite Maybelline line. I wanted to open up today talking about an issue. It's a story that's very emotional. And I understand there's a lot of feelings around it. It involves the loss of a child. An influencer, Emilie Kiser, I think her name is, Kiser or Kiser. She lost her child. Her husband was watching the children while she was out having a girls' night. And when she came back, he stated that he had been taking care of the newborn and the child had fallen into the pool and drowned. Now, this is a tragic accident. And I definitely, as a mom of a son, I have a 5-year-old son, I can't imagine anything more awful than to experience something like that. So this is not some kind of attack on the family. What I noticed, though, when I logged in that morning when I was reading about the story is that everyone was trying to find a way to blame the mother. And I had a real problem with this because ultimately the father was in charge of that situation. And I've just noticed when there's cases where there are injuries to the child and the mother is not present, the father is present, people try to find a way to blame the mother anyway. So the most common thing people were saying was, oh, well, they should have had a pool fence up, so they're both at fault. And that's true. They should have had a pool fence up. Nobody is saying you want to follow safety standards. Nobody is saying that it was right to ignore state safety standards. But both of them knew that they did not have a fence specifically around the pool. So both of them knew that they needed to be monitoring their child more closely while he was by the pool. And he fell in on the father's watch. It's not fair to blame the mother. It's not fair to make it seem like women can't go out and have a good time with their girlfriends because the man at home he's not able to take care of the children. If we're going to make that argument, then again, like I always say, why are we having men that have 50-50 custody automatically? If people are going to say that women they need to be at home, they need to be taking care of the children, men can't be trusted with them, then if men are so incompetent, why do they run society? Why have we never had a woman president? If women are so good at keeping people alive, why haven't we had a woman president yet? This is the double-edged sword of misogyny, where women are too weak and stupid compared to men to hold on to certain things, basically things that'll give them power, like political office, certain high-paying jobs, etc. But anything that keeps them in the home, those are things that men are just too stupid to do, and women need to be there to handle those things. It's a backhanded compliment, and it's not true. There are great fathers out there who are managing their children, who are watching their children, who are engaging with their children in a loving way. There are mothers out there who are better in the workplace, who don't run the household very well. So when people are saying this, they're applying this stereotype because it's in their favor, if that's the truth. If women are stuck at home because they're the only ones who can manage the home. Further, it gives men an out. The problem with society I always talk about is how we don't hold men accountable. So if I'm a man and I'm at home taking care of my kids and I screw up and my wife is going to be blamed for it, then why would I even feel bad? Why would I even put in the effort to really take care of them? You're supposed to love them, but we've talked about this on our podcast, that a lot of men see their children as property or extension of themselves, not as individual people. They play more roughly with them. They ignore safety standards when it comes to them. And then if something happens, people say, well, the mother should have been there. Well, why would the mother leave them alone with the kids? We all know mothers are better nurturers. We all know mothers are supposed to be taking care of the kids. It's wrong. It's something that's supposed to keep women subjugated. And if we're going to give women the credit for being better at these things, then we need to put that credit elsewhere when women want to have certain kinds of jobs, like I said, being the president, like they want to be the CEO of companies. If men are so incompetent, they can't multitask, why are they CEOs of companies? It's all about power, and it's all about a lack of accountability. And I was not going to sit there and let people sit up and blame Emilie for this, because at the end of the day, she wasn't in the house. This didn't happen on her watch. And the buck has to stop somewhere. Accidents happen. God forbid. Most of us, our kids are alive partially because of safety and partially because of luck. But if I were present when something happened to my son and there was something I could have done to prevent it, I would take ownership. I would not try to find some way to blame his dad who wasn't even there. And that's the problem that we're having, is that we are allowing, it's internalized misogyny. Women are doing this. Other women are blaming women, mothers, for men doing things that are dangerous with children. And it's wrong, it's unfair, and it doesn't help any of us out as women to be placing the blame on each other like that. We need to be focused on men. If men are going to be 50-50 parents, if you break up with a man and he's going to get 50-50 custody, he's going to get to see your kids unsupervised anyway. Like, that's the thing. Even if you have kids with a man and you realize that he's not the safest person, if you leave, then he's probably going to have those kids more unsupervised than if he is with you. Unless he gives them to his mom or a female relative, which a lot of them do. But in most cases, he's probably going to be at home with those kids being even more dangerous because you're not there. So this is a scenario where women really can't win unless we start holding men accountable. Let's try it out. We haven't been doing that enough as a society. Let's give it a shot. Let's hold men accountable. When they injure children and hurt children, let's not even speak about the mother. It doesn't matter what she was doing. It doesn't matter if she's out folding laundry, if she was at work. It doesn't matter if she was across the street talking to her girlfriend. When a man who is a father harms his child, that is on him. And we need to do better as a society stating that and upholding that, because that's where we start creating accountability for men, is by deleting women out as their cloak for whenever they make mistakes. Moving on, I want to talk about Tyler Perry. So Tyler Perry is in a sexual harassment lawsuit. An actor, Derek Dixon, who used to work on some of his shows, brought up some pretty disturbing things about Tyler Perry. And the reason I want to talk about this on this feminist podcast, this is two men, but there's a lot of victim blaming going on. You know, this is Pride Month, homophobia, which we don't play that over here either. Everybody's freedom is linked together. So as a feminist, of course, I want LGBTQIA people to be free and believed. So that's important. It's important for us to talk about that because of that reason. But people were saying like, oh, well, why did he wait so long? It doesn't matter. When somebody does something wrong, because we saw this with the Fat Joe thing too. I saw this commentary. If somebody's doing something wrong, you don't know how powerful the systems are behind them that are preventing people from speaking out. You don't know. We're seeing this with the Diddy trial. There's a lot of people disappearing, people being threatened with murder. You don't know how dangerous it is for a person to speak out against certain people. So stop. Take all these questions that you have for victims out of the equation and focus on the wrongdoing of the perpetrator. The only reason you're asking these questions is because you like the person who was doing this. And you have to divorce yourself from that. You have to let that go. Just because you like somebody, that does not mean that they are not a problem. So Tyler Perry sending him these text messages. Tyler Perry is his boss. Tyler Perry is not supposed to be sending him text messages about being horny. He's not supposed to be sending him text messages showing him pictures of himself, begging for compliments. It's so clear looking at these texts that that man had no interest in Tyler Perry. And I saw people saying that, oh, well, he was flirting back. If you think he was flirting back, let me tell you something. You don't know when people don't like you either. You're one of those creepy people yourself that keep texting people even though they show the bare minimum interest in you. If somebody is not responding in kind with the same energy, they don't like you. You send somebody something sexy and they just write back LOL, they don't like you. And that's what was happening in these text messages. Further, Tyler Perry being in a position of power, telling people he's going to write them off if they don't do what he wants, that is coercion. You can't have a relationship with a person who is your boss that is a relationship with consent, because if you upset them, they can take away your livelihood, your money, your way to pay bills. So that's not a relationship that is consensual in any way, shape, or form. And Tyler Perry could have had consensual homosexual relationships he wanted to. Tyler Perry lives in Atlanta, and he's one of the most powerful men. He's closeted. You know, he hasn't claimed his sexuality. I'm assuming that he's gay, but he's one of the most powerful men in that town. So he could go out and find somebody to have a consensual relationship with. The reason we know he's a predator is that he's not doing that. He's intentionally hiring actors that he is attracted to so that he can use his power to produce jobs for them, because a lot of the people in Tyler Perry projects, they are not people that are getting hired elsewhere. That's what people like acclaim about him. Even older actors and stuff, even though he may not be preying on them, he gives people jobs that otherwise struggle to have jobs. So those people are going to want to keep working because they didn't have a lot of opportunities before they got to Tyler Perry Studios. So when you have that kind of pressure, you can't have sex with your employees, period, anyway. But that's a heightened level of pressure when this is the only person that's giving you acting work so you could pay your bills, and they're now requesting sexual favors from you. And if you don't provide them, they're going to fire you. So I'm glad that they're calling this a sexual harassment case. He did assault this man. There are instances described where he went to Tyler Perry's house and Tyler Perry groped him at the studio, on set, in the trailer. He put his hands on him. So it's a lot. And I believe it. I 100% believe it. Y'all know I believe survivors. And there was always something that gave church predator about Tyler Perry to me. Even his works are so over the top that I always knew that he was battling with something. Like, I could never say what it was, but this makes perfect sense to me. And it also answers the question so many of us were asking. We would say, well, why doesn't he hire black writers? Why doesn't he give somebody a chance in the writing room? He couldn't, because if he did that, he would have to explain why he was firing somebody because they weren't sleeping with him, to get them written out the script. So this was another way that he maintained control, by being the writer, the producer, the director. So if he's in control of all that, he can get rid of people and hire them at will and not have to explain anything. There's always an answer like that when it comes to predators. And it's really, really, really sad that, somebody who has, like I said, given jobs to black actors who can't work anywhere else sometimes because they're older now. His scripts are bad and his movies are bad, but he does pay the black actors. And it's sad that somebody like this would engage in behavior like this. But what is this saying as a society about men when they get power? It seems like when a lot of men are getting power, these Hollywood types, Diddy, Fat Joe, he's not black, but, these men, when they're getting power, they're using that power to act out sexual deviancy. Like, it's not enough for them to be successful and to be putting people on. They also need to use their power to act out these very bizarre sexual fantasies and force people into them. These are not people that are consenting to it. These are people, they are trying to use their money to buy into this. And it almost gives you this idea, because you listen to how people talk about it. People say, I signed NDAs and stuff like that. They're basically saying that if you're a man that reaches a certain level of power, you're supposed to be able to sexually coerce people into anything. Like, it's a sick mind pattern. It's a sick way to think. And like I said, I'm with the survivors. I hope this man does get paid. And I will never support anything else Tyler Perry does. I don't do predators. One of the things that I'm super serious about is I don't give my money to people that I know hurt other people. And so before, I used to hate watch his stuff for content, but I will never hate watch or watch anything else of Tyler Perry again, because I'm not going to put money in his pockets. He uses money to terrorize people. He uses money to terrorize men into sexual favors. And I'm not going to give him money to do that. I absolutely refuse. So that will be my last streaming of anything he creates. And I really think the church, period, because we know Catholic Church has predatory stuff going on in it, but the black church too. We have to have a reckoning. We have to have a reckoning about what we are allowing to go on because we like certain preachers, spiritual leaders. Tyler Perry came up through the church circuit. And they know, those people that come up through that circuit, they know that they're allowed to get away with a certain level of deviancy because black women specifically will still support them. And that's something on us. I'm speaking as a black woman. That's something on us. We have to be able to let these male predators go. When they show themselves, we have to be the ones that's running them out of the church. We basically control the black church audience-wise. Now, we don't at the top, because just like everything else, patriarchy is there. Patriarchy is written straight into Christianity. There's some sects of black churches that won't even let women preach or lead anything. So the people at the top are men, but we need to be running those men out of the church when they are preying on other men, young girls, cheating on their wives. We need to take accountability for that, because you want people to believe that this is some great truth. And I'm not religious. I did grow up Southern Baptist, but I am no longer religious. But you guys got to make sure that people are living up to those standards. You can't make excuses for people. If they're not living up to those standards, then they need to go. Yes, everybody is human, but everybody is not fit to lead. And just like we feel like that about Donald Trump, we also got to feel like that about our religious leaders. So All the worst to Tyler Perry. I don't like abusers. And everybody, I hope your abuser dies. So all the worst to him for doing that to somebody when he could have come out of the closet, lived his authentic life, and got him a boyfriend in Atlanta. There's no excuse for what he did. So those are wrapping up the big news stories this week. I want to thank everybody for coming back. I try to keep these short and succinct so I can have a little moment of your time. If you enjoy what I do, please feel free to like my Facebook group, Lipstick and Liberation, or it's a page, excuse me, not a group. Also feel free to subscribe. You can do that where your podcast is, where you're listening to your podcast. You can send me a message if there's something you want to talk about. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. I've really been enjoying having discussions with you guys on TikTok under Crazy Lexi Cool. So join me. I'm just here to continue to try to fight for women and our right to be seen, heard, and respected. So I thank you if you did show up today. Thank you for showing up to my TikTok live to record this. And I will see you guys next week as I show up once a week to let you guys know. And women, ladies, find something. I'm going to tell you this every week. Find a way to preserve your sanity in these changing times. You know, we just had a woman who had a baby cut out of her corpse, a Black woman. You know, those are things that are very depressing. Seeing Black women being experimented on again. You know, and if once they start experimenting on us, it's just a matter of time before they start using white women as incubators. We are not in the best times politically. So I'm asking you to find time to take care of yourself because you don't know what we're going to be called to do in the future. I'm here to provide reminders not to fall into very male-centered thinking, and to reshape perspectives like we did with Emilie's story today. But we got to continue to take care of ourselves. Get in the gym, eat right. If you start with drinking water, start with taking care of your skin, find something to hold on to because a lot of us are just dangling on by the edge of our sanity. So much of the world is put on us and we're just hanging on. So I'm asking you to invest in yourself in some way, shape, or form so you can remember what your value is. Feel that when you look in the mirror because you deserve to feel like that. And we need you. We're going to need you moving forward. So much love to everybody. And you guys have a great week. Until next time.